engineering, hindi ka maaaring magtayo ng isang napakalaking gusali na mahina ang pundasyon. Ganun din sa pangarap, nakakatakot mangarap ng sobrang taas kung wala kang matibay na pundasyon. Kanino ka sumasandal tuwing pinanghihinaan ka ng loob? Saan nga ba dapat nakatirik ang mga haligi ng iyong pangarap? I am China Barachina, follow me, and together, let's follow the money.
Time to think rich. Be inspired by personal stories of success. Learn to invest without fear and greed. Ride the latest business trends. Dream big. Dare to be the Philippines' next billionaire. I'm China Barachina. Follow me. Let's follow the money. Only here on Billionaire Digital.
Support system. Mahalaga ang pagkakaroon ng matibay na support system para makamit natin ang ating hamon sa buhay. Pero ang tanong, ano nga ba dapat ang pundasyon ng mga pangarap natin? Isang mayamang pamilya? Magandang eskwelahan? Mataas sa pinag-aralan? O sapat na nga ba ang simpleng sipag at tiyaga? Alamin kung paano dahan-dahang inakyat ng ating special guest ang marupok at matarik na hagdan tungo sa kasikatan at tagumpay. This is Big Time, as in Business Inspiring Guest.
Fueled by a passion to redefine the possibilities in the construction industry. A revolutionary technology. Meet the mind behind the vision to build structures that are not just durable, but also lightweight. Discover more about Litepanel, a pioneering company transforming the landscape with lightweight concrete. Explore the brilliant mind and humble heart of its CEO, a father, an engineer, and one of the most authentic celebrities in the Philippines. This is Big Time.
Hi, Slater!
Hi, Sheila. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Alam mo, marami ang nag-aabang ito for sure. And I'm also excited that you are gonna share with us your venture about following your dreams and following the money. But the first thing that I want to ask you is, how are you in terms of all of these things that's going on?
Busy, relatively motivated, and syempre, juggling a lot of things from social media to manufacturing to real estate and being a dad also. And ano din, a husband as well. So parang, yeah, it's challenging but fulfilling.
But, can you tell us and share with us about your early stage in life, where your background, did you come from a well-off family, and, what did you study? And, things like that. Can you give us and travel us back in time a bit?
Sige, mahaba-haba to. Actually, that's a big misconception, I think. A lot of people think we grew up very, very wealthy. But my dad was started off as an engineer, tapos nag-OFW siya. And when we were younger, nag-start talaga siya ng business niya here in Cebu. I remember, nag-apartment lang kami. Our ground floor was our office. And yung typical Chinese, ground floor office. Tapos yung second floor, doon kami natutulog. And he started off repairing mga bubong. And then eventually to like smaller renovation jobs. And eventually nagiging construction company siya. So it took a while. So I saw some of the journey. So very inspiring din.
Are you the eldest?
Yes, the eldest.
Oh, okay. So did you study in Cebu or in Manila?
Cebu. My whole life Cebu talaga. So I studied here in Cebu kasi yung dad ko, habang nag-run kami ng business, he wanted me to be a part of the experience of running the business while going to school.
Oh, okay. So with what you said, how did your upbringing shape your views on money? And kasi nakita mo how your dad nagsumikap siya and it turned to a good construction business. With that experience, how did you what was your view about the money then, probably towards now?
I think the good thing about my dad and our family is we always bring each other back down whenever we plan on buying luxurious items. Parang nababalik sa reality, up, 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 up. So we tend to be very simple, very frugal, relax lang kami gumastos, live within our means. I remember distinctly yung advice ng dad ko when it comes to money is that yes, you can risk on all these big business ideas, but always remember that mas malaki yung nire-risk mo if you're risking everything. Always have something saved up. And parang ito yun yung safety net mo. Kahit papano, it's not worth it to shoot for the crazy stars if it sacrifices where you're at right now. So balance lang din talaga.
Nice. Parang meron kayong touch point na parang, oy, wait lang, reality check. That's very nice. But what inspired you or motivated you to pursue a career in engineering? Is it from your dad and later bet you on a real estate business?
Alam mo yung pagbata ka, hindi mo alam talaga anong gusto mo sa buhay. So, engineer yung tatay ko. Sige, engineer na rin ako. Ganyan lang ako. Nung nag-start ako, ganyan talaga when I went to college. Sige, ganyan. Didn't have any clue what it is to be an engineer. Hindi ko pa nga alam at that time, even with my dad's guidance, because hindi pa siya hands-on, I didn't know what the difference was between an architect and an engineer. Sige na, engineer na. Kasi dad ko.
Oo nga, no? So I assume maganda yung sulat mo because engineers have like the best penmanship.
Capital lahat.
Yeah, di ba? Pero sobrang inggit ako sa mga engineers when they do their handwriting. It's really readable. But going back naman a bit to your showbiz career, ayan, how did it start? So you're in Cebu, you're doing engineering, you're in the family business. Paano napunta sa PBB?
Well, again, nung sinabi ko na I didn't know what I was getting into.
Yeah.
So when I started engineering and I was working on construction, hindi ko nafe-feel pa yung passion. I was kind of lost. Like, ganito lang ba habang buhay ko? Ito lang gagawin ko? Is it like construction my whole life? And timing while I was having this mga crisis, may lumapit sa akin din. Yeah. Well, batang-bata pa nagka-crisis na. May lumapit sa akin, sabi niya, do you want to try out showbiz? And I felt like it's a good cambio to just exploring the world outside my family business, the world that I grew up in. And I asked permission from my dad and my parents. Nung una, ayaw na ayaw talaga nila. It's a very different world. We want to be tahimik lang. Pero I convinced them, my dad was saying na whatever it is that you choose to pursue, remember that pwede ka naman bumalik anytime. So that gave me like courage to try it out and know that kung just in case it doesn't pan out, meron naman din akong support system dito.
So what was your, like, the first time you stepped into the studio or you were exposed to like the showbiz career na ikaw is coming from like a normal, typical, family that doesn't know about showbiz? What was your feeling then?
Yeah, it was a big, big culture shock. As in, naisip ko talaga, the world is so much bigger than I thought. And the world is so much more colorful than I thought. Kasi harap ko palagi, mga engineers, mga architects, very calculated. So, ibang-iba yung the colorful world of showbiz. So it took a while of adjusting, and I feel like it helped me mold where I'm at today, from not just the engineering side, but just knowing that there are different kinds of people, the marketing side, talking properly. Dati sobrang mahihayin talaga ako. You couldn't interview me like this dati, but that really, yeah, it helped me come out of my shell. So yun.
And then you said culture shock, and then so na-figure out ba which one do you love more, or which one is your first love when it comes to career? Is it still engineering after realizing all of these things and being exposed to show business?
it took about mga 2-3 years in the showbiz world na nasabi ko na parang hindi to para sa akin. It's a nice place to visit, but I don't see myself doing this for the long term. And I kind of had a feeling na hindi engineering talaga yung hilig ko eh. It was more of creating new things, innovation. So it's more like entrepreneurship. Yung nakikita kong gusto ko. Kasi at that time, while I was in showbiz, I tried to start a new company, and which eventually became what it is now, Litepanel. So, dun ako nag-start. Sinisideline ko yung entrepreneurship while doing showbiz.
And it's also the best way to build network, diba? In
Yes.
show business. Oh.
Tama.
So you took advantage of that also. And not naman in a bad way, but you took advantage of the network that you have and being exposed to different types of industry. Kasi diba, when it comes to show business, you also have your sponsors, you also have different entrepreneurs yan, diba?
Yes,
And
not just
when-
that, but it's just easier to do business when people know you.
How did you identify who to trust? Kasi as an entrepreneur, diba, you are to deal with partners, and also you've seen also in show business who how do you discern that in terms of trusting who to partner with, who to venture business with? How do you do it? Like, do you have a support system? I'm just curious.
I would say I'm still trying to learn that area. Marami na akong instances na not so ideal from not so honest employees or yung mga partners na partners almost but hindi natuloy, yung mga ganyan na ay buti na lang. But usually I think for me personally, it takes a while for me to get to know people, and like experience based talaga siya. So yeah. Very, very choosy ako when it comes to business partnerships. I want to know the people a lot, not just because it's like it helps both parties, parang partner na tayo agad. I think of it more like a marriage na kailangan magkakasundo talaga tayo, and we're in it for the long haul, because I'd rather do things myself kaysa sa having a partner na medyo may conflict.
Ganon din mo ba pinili si Chris?
Yes, ganyan talaga mag-filter.
So you were talking about partnering, knowing who to partner to, and now I wanna touch on authenticity. As an engineer in the Philippines, how do you balance yung progress and authenticity? I mean, how do you find that sweet spot between trying to help the country evolve industrially while still respecting rich culture and natural resources that we have? Because especially, diba, when dealing with real estate, you have to develop land pieces. So how do you do that? Like, how is the balance doing, Slater?
Yeah, so maganda yun na question, because I feel like it's our responsibility as real estate developers, engineers, architects, designers. Malaki talaga yung impact natin when it comes to how we design based on our culture, based on telling our story of being Filipino, and also respecting the balance of the give and take that comes along with every project. So I was talking to one of our consultants, Verde. So we're getting Verde for some of our projects right now, and sabi niya, you can never hit zero impact, but you can always do your best to balance it. And that struck a chord with me na nga talaga. It's all about just the give and take. Designing good structures, meaning they last for a very long time. Hindi natin nire-renovate palagi, or hindi natin kailangan i-take down after 30, 50 years because we want to build something better, and it can actually be a landmark. So, natitira siya dun. Like, mga heritage sites, especially in Manila. Like, okay, itong project na to, forever na talaga to nandito. So, we don't have to have another carbon footprint just because of that. Revising that.
Wow. Imagine that, hindi ko nga rin naisip when there are like land pieces or historical places na pwedeng magalaw. And that's one of the challenges that you have as an engineer and as a construction company. And ang galing that, talking with different people, I remember nga we were saying kanina, it's like marriage. And, with the marriage comes with different kinds of decision. And ngayon, I want to touch point, Slater, when it comes to the significant turning point in your life. Kasi, di ba, you experienced na showbiz, and now you said that it's a good place to visit, but this is not for me. So, how did it turn like, okay, I'm gonna go back to what I love? You're an innovator, not just an engineer. Can you give us the significant turning point in your life that played like a plot twist in your success?
Well, I was, parang, if there was one significant moment that pops out in my head right now, kung kailan ako nagiging super motivated, super aggressive on trying to be a better person, trying to succeed more in life. I've always loved entrepreneurship, but I always thought it took my time. Compared to the past 3-4 years, when I knew that my wife was pregnant, nagbago yung mindset ko. Nagbago yung mindset ko because I wanted to be a better person so that I had something to pass on. Yun lang naisip ko. For some reason, like, okay, wala pang pangalan si Scotty that time, but alam na namin lalaki. And I was like, oh nga no, the more I know about business, the more I have things to pass on, the more I know about the world, the more kung may imamana sa kanya. Not monetarily, but the character, the skill sets, and all these other things. The more experiences I have, the more I have to teach him. So, yun talaga yung a clear turning point on how and why I became much more motivated.
Wow. And then the world is changing, Slater. No, our habits, our motivations, and our options and opportunities in life. And what specific important values are you teaching to your child? Ilan na ba anak mo, Slater? Dalawa na. So your children, both boys?
Both boys, yes.
Wow. Nako, I can imagine the chaos. So maybe give your top 3. That ang ganda ng sinabi mo, like you changed your mindset when you became a dad, when you realized, oh, I'm a father and I'm gonna pass on my knowledge, my wisdom to the next generation. So give me your top 3.
Top 3. Top 3 is always remaining grounded, always be simple, always yung ayokong nagiging nasa bubble sila. Kahit ano man yun, I want them to explore the world and remain, but still have a sense of groundedness, of humility. Second is always to treat everyone fairly. When it comes to bubbles, yung parang sinasabi ko na, always be humble, always, like, sa akin, I want them to know the real world. Because when we were growing up, medyo meron na kami construction company, ganyan. But when I was going to college, pinapa-jeepney pa rin talaga kami. Sinasadya lang dahil, jeepney talaga kayo. Like, no cars. You don't drive your own car until you graduate college. I remember sometimes, tinatamad ako magpapahatid ng mag-jeepney. So, pinapahatid kami using like our dump trucks, our delivery trucks, So, alam ko sinasadya ng tatay ko do that to them also, just so that hindi sila matatrap in a certain bubble. You know?
Dad mo pala si Mr. Miyagi. Kilala mo ba si Mr. Miyagi? Yeah, ang ganda nun. Will you train the same way to your kids?
Yes, I want them to do exactly the same thing. So right now, even si Scott, he goes up to my dad's place. Sila nag-garden together, nagpapanday. Dad ko mahilig gumagawa ng mga projects. So kasama siya dun. Nagdadala ng hammer. Yeah. So yun, a certain sense of groundedness, humility, and just treating everyone with respect.
Ang ganda nun kasi alam mo, ang worry ko sa mga parents ngayon, young parents out there, they're too protective of their kids na alam mo, madapa lang ng konti, like so worried na while yung mga bata tayo, pinapabayaan tayo maglaro sa kalsada, madapa, umiyak, di ba? And now, I mean, I don't want to see the generation na nagkakaroon ng weak personality because we're being too protective na baka hindi na nakakaganda. And,
Ah,
hearing that from you, ang ganda na we are sharing it to the audience right now. And
mm,
I think there are like young parents that are watching the show na probably would make them realize so nga kailangan nga talaga that they'll be exposed in the real world as early as as 3, 4, 5 years old. So as a celebrity naman, Slater, and a young professional, I can only imagine how busy your calendar, sinasabi mo na kanina lahat ng activities mo, and then how do you now juggle to your personal life and work? Of course, it's impossible to give exact the same time, but how do you manage your 24 hours a day? Like, what's your typical percentage when it comes to dividing your time?
a lot of it is work. A lot of it is maybe 8, 10 hours a day work. And then when I get home, I always have this nighttime slot with our kids. And the weekends, I always think of myself as compared to like the Ayalas, the billionaire of the Philippines, like bakit sila may oras ako wala? Kung ganyan, di ba? We have the same 24 hours. So I give myself that standard. So if I feel like I'm being overwhelmed, there's something that I need to do to optimize, whether it's something to do with productivity, with delegation, with just getting things done more efficiently. I know that I can squeeze in the time. Diba? Kasi pag gusto, may paraan. Pag ayaw, may dahilan. So, yun.
Ay, nako. Oo, totoo yan. So, allow me to ask this. Can you rate this based on what is most important to you?
Yeah.
Alam ko naman na pero I wanna hear it from you. Being an engineer, being a celebrity, being a father, being a husband, and being yourself.
Kung ako, it always comes down to me first. The more whole I am, the more I have to give. The more complete I am, the more I have to give. So, first me talaga, then next would be, I see myself more husband because if kumpleto kaming dalawa, me and my wife, it's easier to take care of the kids. The rest, ano na lang yun, just, parang, it's, you know what, I see work as like kind of like my hobby. So I really love what I do. So it's not hard for me to do.
You hit the sweet spot. I remember Saint Catherine of Siena saying that if you are doing what is it that you love, then you're gonna bring fire to the world, like in a good sense. You're gonna take it to place.
Ano naman kasi real estate tayo, huwag yung fire.
I mean, you're gonna bring light na lang. Pangit nga naman in a real estate. May forest factor pa yun. No? Wag na yun. Erase. But, but in terms of, can you, puntahan na natin. Can you share specific challenge you face in building Monteras, Cebu? Did I say it right? And how you overcame it?
There's always challenges, whatever it is, whether it's the big things or the small things. So I look at it as, okay, there's a problem, what do we need to fix? The biggest challenge I feel like when it comes to Monteras to Cebu is that we're doing something that has essentially never been done before. At least, it has been done. It has been done, but we're trying to create something new. We're trying to innovate upon the foundations of the past. So I think that's the biggest challenge. But just any big project at this scale has its own challenges. The good thing I would say is that we were able to have, I would easily say, the best of the best in the Philippines when it comes to consultants and the people that we work with. So a lot of times kasi parang people think that ako lang mag-isa dito and I'm doing all the decisions. Let's just say, kung sa orchestra pa yun, ako yung nagaganin-ganyan.
Conductor.
And I have specific people that are helping me out, way more knowledgeable than me. Ito mga binibigay ko sa YouTube videos ko about tips and tricks of the trade. Usually coming from them. Tapos tinatawagan ko sa sakto ba tong mga sinasabi ko. So, for example, I did solar video.
Mm-hmm.
before I conceptualize the whole thing, I have someone that I consult with. One of the consultants also of the Rex, Monteras. So tinatanong ko siya, ito yung balak ko na video, are all these things that I'm about to say technically correct? Sabi niya, yes, okay, correct. Then before I actually post it, I have them look at the video one more time to make sure na wala akong fake na mapalabas. And then, so it's a big process. And the same way that we're doing with all our projects, there's a lot of checking and double checking to make sure that we're doing things by the book.
So and one of the things na I think na major when it comes to business is like finance, 'di ba? How do you allocate your resources? Pero pagpuntahan natin sa personal, in terms of your personal finance strategy, are you someone who's frugal, or do you like have a time to splurge and enjoy what you're earning? How do you manage your finances when it comes to personal? Like, kasi may family ka na, it's different siguro when you're binata.
Yeah. Ako, I get tempted. Don't get me wrong. I get tempted to splurge. I get tempted to buy nice cars, mga ganyan. But we live very, very much within our means. And I also understand the fact that these things does not provide long-term happiness. And ang ginagawa ko palagi is just to delay the things that I want. For example,
Delayed gratification.
An expensive watch. So I'll just do my research. Ito gusto ko. And then when it comes time to buy, palagi ko, next time na.
Na-outgrow mo na yung wanting. Yeah.
Next time na. It's like, alam mo yung pag may vacation kang pinaplan, but it's like a year away, but you're always so excited about that vacation coming in. So parang, meron ka, pag nasa-stress ka, sige lang, may vacation naman ako coming. So parang, I always do that, and you know, I end up not buying talaga. So, kaming dalawa ni Chris, pareho kami, she more so than me na mas magaling sa pera. So, she would be the one to bring me back na, you don't really need it, ganyan. Sabi ko, sige.
Wow! Ang galing naman ni Chris. Like, but
Yeah.
in terms of investment naman, Slater, do you invest like in the stock market, or is it more in real estate?
We invest in a lot of things. Mostly investment in the stock market, index funds lang, S&P 500, BSEI. Sa real estate also.
Buy and hold ka sa stock market.
Yes, buy and hold. Yeah. So I don't, when I look at real estate investing, I don't see it kasi as spending money. I see it as a change in the currency. So parang
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're not really buying, you're not really spending. Yung deposit mo lang dito, pinasa mo to
Change of
another
asset
time.
lang.
Yes. So that's how I think of it. So yun, hindi masakit. Pero if it's like a car, it's like a watch, parang later na.
Nagde-depreciate kasi yan di ba?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yun, viewers, to our audience today, that's the difference between investment and splurging and spending something na nagde-depreciate. So pag yung iba kasi pag sinabing investment naman yung car, hindi po. Pag nagde-depreciate po, hindi po yan investment. So like what Slater said, alam mo, Slater, the first time I heard that, nag-change ka lang ng currency if you buy a jewelry, if you buy a piece of land, if you invested in the stock market, nag-change ka lang ng currency, your asset doesn't change. Kasi yun pa din yun. Like, it's still something that also appreciates. Ayan, so moving on to the next part, fun part naman tayo, Slater. This is Fast Talk. So on top of mind, no right or wrong answer, and then and no explanation, okay? If you could only choose one, who's the better Slater? The celebrity or the engineer?
Engineer.
Okay. The most favorite part of the Skypod?
Yung kama ko.
Talaga. Most favorite thing inside the Skypod naman?
Ano ba? Swimming pool?
Okay. Sports car or off-the-road trucks?
SUV, yeah. Off-road.
Okay. 3 things that you do in the morning.
My routine. So, coffee,
Coffee.
family, coffee, then computer.
Alam mo, napanood ko yung vlog mo after nung nawala ng kuryente dyan, and then you're making coffee yata dun sa, I saw that. The last thing you do before going to bed at night?
I go to the sauna.
Detox.
Yeah.
As a guy, when does size really matter? Ano ang mas nakakalalaki? A big physique, a big heart, or a big bank account?
A big heart. Pero okay na rin yung big bank account.
That's second. Okay. Describe Chris in one word.
My partner.
Mag-budget ng pera or magdagdag ng pagkakakitaan?
Magdagdag.
Complete the sentence. So this is not necessarily what's in the Bible, but what is your truth? Money is the root of all blank. For you.
It's definitely not even. It's definitely not.
Yes. So what do you think?
Freedom.
Nice. So eto na. So what is how do you manifest? What are the 3 essential tips that you're gonna give to our viewers today?
My first step, this is actually what really changed my thinking about like business and stuff, is to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Like a lot of people work hard, but if you don't push that comfort zone, hindi ka nag-grow. So that's one. You have to be confident that you can do it and you're the one to do it. And lastly, never stop learning.
Never stop learning. I love that kasi it talks about humility, that you can't not know everything all the time. Thank you so much, Slater. It's a pleasure of having you and meeting you here in Thank you so much, and I hope to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Bye.
Isang unparalleled transformation ang nangyayari ngayon sa mundo. Dati, kailangan mong maging artista katulad ni Slater para makilala. At para kang maging artista, sandamakmak na auditions din ang kailangan mong pagdaanan. Pero ngayon, sa isang post lang ng Facebook, pwede ka nang sumikat. Pero alam niyo ba na marami pang ibang gamit ang internet aside from getting fame? Isa na dyan ang getting more sources of income. The immense investment opportunity that this technological transformation brings no longer a choice, but a necessity. Alamin kung paano nga ba kikita gamit lang ang iyong cellphone o laptop. This is Fearless Forecast. And I'm so glad to welcome back our episode 2 Fearless Forecaster, Ron Acoba. Happy New Year, Ron!
Happy holidays, Tina. Thank you for having me.
So, Ron, for 2024, what's your Fearless forecast?
Well, for 2024, generally speaking, I hope everything gets better because if you recall, for the most part of the year, and not just for the most part of the year, in the last 2 years actually, in terms of investing in the stock market, equities market, and even in real estate, in most of the space, it's really been very challenging, especially for me, a trader and a fund manager. It's very hard to pinpoint spots of opportunities in the market because there's really nothing going on in the last 2 years. If you recall, the major hindrance or hurdle that investors were not just investors but consumers were facing were high level of inflation, both abroad and here, and with high level of inflation, of course, high level of interest rate. So ang hirap. But finally, we may be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, because just a few weeks ago, coming from the U.S., the chairman of the central bank of the U.S. Federal Reserve essentially shifted to a more dovish stance, which generally means na parang yung sentiment niya towards keeping a high level of interest rate parang nagbago. So with that, market participants now are projecting rate cuts to happen finally next year, and that's what we've been waiting for. And it could be the catalyst that investors, both local and foreign, would finally go back, take risk, and with risk taking, finally mag-recover na ang mga investments here. So that's what we're looking for 2024 in general.
Can you tell us further about the PSEI, Ron?
Well, the PSEI, as I've mentioned, in the last 2 years, it's just been choppy trading, diba? Choppy trading.
Mhm.
Of course, we're coming off of a pandemic, which led the index to fall to a low of 4,000. I'd say we're out of that bear market already. We're in the recovery phase. Unfortunately, yung recovery na inihintay natin in general following the pandemic was actually capped or short-lived, because all of a sudden inflation globally nag-spike. One of the main triggers why inflation globally spiked was crude oil spiked all the way to $130 per barrel, primarily because of yung war between Russia and Ukraine, which started January or February last year, and it's still ongoing. It's still ongoing, by the way. And following that, nagkaroon ng supply problems both internationally and locally in terms of supplies. If you recall, prices of food, especially of vegetables, of garlic and onions, for example, at one point, diba, surged from like 100 pesos per kilo to more than 1,000 per kilo. It's very crazy, diba? So after all that, na-experience natin lahat yon in the last 2 years. So hopefully things will improve, and that the PSEI will finally gain traction as we enter the first quarter of next year.
Yan yung inaantay natin, Rono, because kasi
Yes.
patapos na after ng pandemic, ito naman
Yeah.
napilay ulit. Kasi
Napilay actually.
Oo,
Actually, we were as fund managers, we were really excited after the pandemic, because following the pandemic, we were expecting a full recovery back to pre-pandemic levels,
Yeah.
diba? The index was
para siyang nagpipigil na tumakbo,
Oh.
di ba? Parang gustong-gusto
Yeah.
nang tumakbo, but then, yun nga, nagkaroon ng pagkatisod dahil sa yeah, totoo
Yeah.
yan.
So from a technical analysis point of view, while we remain to be as you can see in the charts in front of you, remain to be still bounded within a multi-year downtrend, parang malapit na. So parang malapit na, and looking at how individual stocks are positioning, individual stocks are also starting to improve and to base in terms of their technical characteristics, which leads me to believe that indeed we may be nearing a turn to a fresh bull run, hopefully next year.
Yan. Lahat tayo inaabangan yan. It's been a while. Ang tagal ng bull run, and then ang
Sobra.
tagal din natin siyang inaantay, di ba? So,
Yeah.
which is I think for me, it's a natural phenomenon. Kasi, if you're running, like, yung speed stop modes should be also longer, sabi nga nila.
Yes, exactly. So it's essentially in the last 2 years, it's testing everyone's patience, di ba? So obviously yung mga weak hands wala na, but the smart money, the investors who have long-term horizon and smart money in general have been positioned or are starting to position. And as you mentioned, the longer that we wait, the closer that we get to the end actually. And pag mas matagal actually yung consolidation ba that we've been into, for me, through experience, the more powerful the resulting event would be. So in terms of expectations for next year, we're expecting a bull run to happen, and given the fact that we've been trapped within a listless environment for the longest time, I'm expecting something quite powerful to occur actually next year. And I'm positioned. I'm positioned. My clients are in position for that.
Nakaka-excite lang. 'Cause a while
Yeah.
ago, I was talking to Slater. He's also into stock market, but he's more on buy and hold, and he's holding like
Yeah.
S&P 500 and ETFs.
Mm.
Kaya yung mga sinasabi ni Ron kanina, for the sake of the viewers, that the weak hands are ito yung mga hindi talaga sila pang long term, at ibig
Yeah.
sabihin bumitaw na sila, nagbenta na sila, at probably
Yeah.
nasa ibang asset classes na sila.
Yes.
Let's continue.
So,
Ito na.
what you can see in front of you is the fundamental projection. So previously in the last charts, diba, more of historical price movements ng PSEI. Now from a fundamental perspective, meaning yung study of individual companies that comprises the PSEI, the top 30 biggest companies, imputing the consensus individual target prices for them, it's actually very positive, because institutions who made these projections are basically ang estimate nila for the fair value of the PSEI as of now is at around 7,979. So that's really a notable upside from a current level of 6.2. Imagine that. We're presently the index at 6.2, and major institutions ang gumawa nito, ang estimate nila for the 12-month moving forward would be the index to reach 7979. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the index would indeed reach that particular level, but at least yung estimate nila or yung position nila from current level is that the index and individual stocks are undervalued relative to what it should be.
So may laggards, may
Yes.
nahuhuli. Yeah, may nahuhuli.
Yes.
And it's actually, we are airing on the last trading day of the year. So parang this is like to cap lahat ng mga consolidation that will take place for you to position yourself in the coming trading for the next year, 2024. Ayan. Next.
And another metric that individuals, I think even retail investors are familiar with the PE metric, diba? The price to earnings ratio. It's one of the first metrics that we learn to estimate and to judge whether a stock is undervalued or cheap. Also, from that perspective, the Philippines, or the PSEI, is actually trading at only 11 times PE. This is in comparison with the average of the entire region, which is at around close to 15 times na. So from that perspective, the PSE is really undervalued. And historically, as in pre-pandemic bull market, it used to be most of the time the Philippines, the PSEI, is actually trading at a premium. So because of growth, diba? Philippines, along with Vietnam and Thailand, they remain to be one of the fastest growing economies in terms of GDP growth in the region relative to the other countries, diba? So with the high level of growth, previously the PSEI had been trading with a premium, meaning if if the average of the region, let's say for example, is 15 times, the PSE used to trade at what, 18, even 20 times PE, so mas mataas. So if things normalize, in my perspective, not only the PSEI can go from 11 to 15 times, but it can even surpass the 15 times level and trade back to how we were trading previously, which is relative to how fast the economy was
Ron, let's teach
growing.
nga what is PE ratio. This is price to earning ratio.
Yes.
Diba, it gives us the idea kung ang market ba natin ay mahal o mura. So tell us,
Yes,
Ron,
yes.
when is it high and or when is it in the premium or sinasabi nating mahal and when is it low? Ito ba the higher the number or the lower the number?
Well, it's always relative, no? So for example, kasi how can you say when a stock when a company is cheap or undervalued without comparing it with its peers? So you need to compare and find out the values of its peers also. So for example,
just industry, Ron, tama ba?
sa industries, yes. Sa industries, and in terms of countries, we compare it to the countries in the region, diba? So
in
for
this
example,
chart, in this table, you are showing us that in terms of Philippines, amongst other Asian countries, mahal
yes,
ba siya o mura?
mura siya because yung average ng Asian countries, it's already doing 15 times. So 15, while the Philippines is only at 11. So
Nahuhuli siya.
nahuhuli siya. So if things normalize, if Philippines catch up to the average, diba? So that's 15 divided by 11. Yun yung upside niya. Yun yung which is around 16%. So if the Philippines rises by 16% from 11 times PE, maabot niya yung 15 times to be at par with its peers in the region.
So Ron, if I'm a viewer and I say, okay, mura ang Pilipinas ngayon. So what will be the implication as an investor? Why would it be attractive to other investors kung mura ang Pilipinas? What will be the ano yung cost and effect nito dun sa mga other investors or the large companies or the foreign investors na magiging relative in terms of action in being like cheap as a country?
Well, essentially, the main problem now that we're seeing is hardly nobody is interested in putting money in the stock market. For example, today's volume is only 2.8 billion pesos. Sobrang konti lang 'yan, sobrang liit. In fact, ang hirap mag-trade, especially if you're holding a lot of mahirap bumili, mahirap magbenta. Yeah. Mahirap yung mababa yung price, mababa yung volume, mahirap bumili. So if things improve, if participation in the market improve, then liquidity will improve. And when pag nakikita na ng mga tao na things appears to be, syempre may konting FOMO yan, di ba? If things improve, doon lang pumapasok doon lang naggagayahan and pumapasok. Unfortunately, ganun talaga yung psychology. Nobody wants to go in if things are pangit, di ba? When there are blood on the street, contrary to Warren Buffett saying na buy when there's blood on the street, in reality when there's blood on the street, it's actually hard to buy kasi natatakot ka eh. Because you're talking about your own money, tas nakikita mo na madaling sabihin, but doing it is actually very, very difficult. But actually it's the right thing to do. In fact, personally and with my clients also, the most money that I made in my career was in 2020 when there was blood in the street. When everyone was selling kasi takutan sa pandemic, di ba? So yun.
Ayan na, ang golden opportunity.
So not just, we have an opportunity in the market in general because it's cheap, di ba? Like the PSEI, ang upside niya is up to 7.9, giving it an upside of around 29 to 30% from present level. But more specifically, dun sa mga investors with a higher level of risk, you can actually zoom into specific industries. In my opinion, one of the industry would be centered around gold. Why gold? Because as I've mentioned several times kanina, one of the major variable that dampened the market in the last 2 years was the high level of interest rates, both in the US and locally. Now, moving forward for 2024, actually in the last several months, both in the US and here, inflation rate in the US have already improved. Locally, local inflation has already improved. With improving level of inflation, ang susunod na mangyayari niyan, ibababa na yung interest rates because there's no more point to keep interest rates high kung mababa na yung inflation. So with interest rates potentially turning lower next year, ang tataas then is yung gold. Why gold? Because gold is valued in terms of US dollars. Kung mas nagmura na yung US dollars, mas magmamahal na essentially yung gold. So kung magmahal yung gold, syempre magbe-benefit yung mga miners ng gold. In the local market, they are the likes of Apex Mining, which is owned by Enrique Razon, and Philex Mining, which is owned by MPL. Oh, this is just the chart of gold that I mentioned a while ago. So as you can see, it's actually just of its all-time high, which is at $2,000 per ounce. So it's encountering some selling pressure at the present level because it's been the resistance in the last 3 to 5 years. But as I've mentioned, the major catalyst for this is the turn in interest rates. Once it happens, then we can expect the gold price to punch through that 2,000 per ounce level, and it can with prices trading at a new all-time high. It's very easy for it to surge, say 20% or 30% within a shorter amount of time.
Okay, and this is Apex. So what do you think is the entry point for APX or Apex Mining?
Now. Essentially now. Essentially now.
Is it?
Yes. Hindi pa siya lumalap, wala pang trigger, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, this is potentially a cup in handle. Wala pang trigger kasi hindi pa nalalampasan yung pivot point, but yan, we are getting there. And when it happens, we can see a reversal back to its previous level, which is close, will give you an upside of 40 to 50% if and when it happens.
If you are watching Follow the Money since episode 1, you will see the conviction of our forecasters for APX or Apex Mining. I mean,
meron ba? Not just,
yes,
I mean, it's not just me.
Stronger and stronger. So yeah, it's just like a conviction, another conviction for APX or Apex Mining. Yeah.
So all the more reason to at least look at it more closely or study it more closely.
Ayan. And Ron, you know naman our tradition. We have to show you a meme. And this time, this is and this meme, you check or you tell me if one point in time, alam mo na kung nangyari ba sa'yo or nakarelate ka. And what do you think is the wisdom behind this? The stock market, when you buy the dip.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, no? Because for it always happens, diba, that diba, when we buy, parang napapansin mo pag kung kailan ako pumasok, saka bumababa yung para kang niloloko nung I mean, you've been waiting for an entry point, diba? Oh, pwede na. Whether you're waiting for an upside break or you're waiting for it to go lower. But
Exactly.
parang pine-personal ka ng stock that it has been waiting for you, personally you or specifically you to enter. Tapos pag nakabili ka na, dun siya baba. Dun siya bababa, and then you will start to question, tama ba yung ginawa ko? But yeah, if you have a reason to believe why, whether from a fundamental aspect or from a technical point of view, then you should go lower. You should,
Yun
and
ang
you can go
nakakapag-strong
lower.
conviction din for
Yeah.
you to be a strong hand. Kasi kanina,
Yes,
minention natin
yes.
about being a weak hand. And,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
you know the fundamentals. Now, yung
Yeah.
kabaligtaran naman yan, Ron, if you don't know and you're just dealing
Yeah.
or you're, you're just making the decision based on technical analysis, what would you think will be the best option when it
Well,
goes
Well,
other way?
from
Uh,
technical analysis kasi it's rule based, di ba? So not
Mhm.
necessarily that you can go lower, because for example, technical analysis, you have an entry point. With that, you should also come up with a stop loss point. So stop loss, which means that if things don't happen to what you're expecting, I mean, obviously you're expecting prices to go up more or less the moment that you get in. If that does not happen, and then instead it craters and falls down and hits a specific level that you predetermined previously, then you should cut. But that's from a trading perspective.
Yan. Diyan na nag-iiba yung strategies when that
Yeah.
you diversify strategies. Yung meron kang portfolio na i-buy and hold mo, may portfolio ka na lalaruin mo. Diba?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yan ang gagaling. And, alright, it's a pleasure, Ron, and marami na naman kaming natutunan. And I'm so glad that you are closing 2023 with this positioning. So when we know that on the coming year 2024, alam na natin kung ano ba talaga and what is what kind of position or what kind of strategy are we gonna make with this kinds of with the assumption that you have presented us. Thank you so much and happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Tina. Thank you.
Ayan, guys, natapos ang year natin and it's, we've covered a lot and we've think that we are will be continuing to give this kind of mindset para naman maging masaya ang ating upcoming year. Kayo, do you have a story that you can relate, or do you have an inspiring, business story that tell us and send a message and leave the comments in the comment section below. Sino ba, based from the forecasters, ang sinunod mo at sino-sino ba yung mga nakikita mo na, na sinusundan mo? Ano yung favorite mong episode? Give your comments in the comment section below. Alright? And, ito na tayo. While it is inevitable that we have different advantages, that should not stop you from being successful. Katulad ng Monteras sa Cebu, sinong mag-aakala na pwedeng magpatayo ng ganitong kalaking project sa gilid ng bundok? Literal na leap of faith dahil sa bangin nakatirik ang proyekto. Minsan sa buhay, hindi tayo nabibigyan ng isang patag at konkretong plano, di ba? Marami sa atin nakatungtong sa lupa na madaling matibag. Walang safety net, kaya isang pagkakamali lang, hulog agad ang pangarap. Sa mga pagkakataong tulad nito, kailangan nating gumawa ng mga pundasyon. Understand your unique terrain and adapt to the natural contours of the land. Alam niyo ba ang sikreto ng mountain housing projects like Monteras? Gradual ascent. When you build something on unstable ground like a mountain slope, you don't destroy the mountain. You go with the flow, not against it. You work with life's ups and downs. I am China Barachina. Follow me, follow your dreams, and money will follow right after. Happy holidays, guys. Thank you, and God bless everyone.